What up, what up, what up, what up? Take 15, right? Yo, yo, legit. All right, so my boy Fred sent me this video, right? And me and him have these conversations where we get back and forth about the metaphysical shit, right? And when you trace back the roots of liberalism and modern day philosophies, you know what I mean, like progressivism, things of this nature, it all ends up coming down to being um, like versions of Christianity. And it's something that's hard for Christians to like really like come to terms with, right? At the end of the day. So we're gonna watch this video. It's about 22 minutes. I'm gonna break in here and there. You know, we're gonna fucking conversate, discuss it. You know, what I mean, it is what it is. Let's get down to dirt and get down to business. You know, what I mean, because I'll be real, I kind of like this guy's mental, but let's get down to business.
You have had enough of the modern world. You draw the line at teachers trying to persuade young boys to cut their testicles off. You are not going to allow them to install a microchip into your brain so you can upload your consciousness into Reddit. You're not going to listen to another politician flying in a private plane try convince you that you need to eat soy and bugs to save the planet. You do not align with this secular society. It is evil, it is upside down, and it is corrupt. And of course, you listen to people like Jordan Peterson, and they convince you that the reason why this terrible botched society has happened is because we moved away from our traditional Christian values. And if we had those in place, everything would be okay. But there are people who do not want us to return. There is a woke movement that wants to take control of our morality and make it wholly anti-Christian. Jordan Peterson tells us that they have swarmed into all of the institutions and are trying to have a whack at another communist revolution. Now, this may give birth to boomer consciousness within you. You will use your online social media to constantly make fun of woke snowflakes. Or it might give birth to something even more profound. You might think boomerism is half-assed. What you actually want is real Christianity. We want to go back to the absolute source. Christ is not some Jungian symbol. He's not some archetype.
Yo, it's crazy that like this dude, right? This dude who let's be honest, all right? We'll keep this 100% honest, all right? It's a handsome motherfucker right here. This guy should not be bitching about, yo, this motherfucker should have pussy dripping off of him. Like real shit. He should not be complaining about nothing. But he does. This is a bit of an issue in our society, right? Bit of a fucking problem. You know, when you have these motherfuckers complaining, this society has a fucking problem. Like real shit. Let's keep going.
He is the real deal. He is the man who never died. He is God incarnate and the only instance of this in the entire world. And the only way to defeat this neo-communist woke revolution, which is the Antichrist regime, is to go fully into Christianity. But what if I told you that Christianity was part of the problem? That the spirit of Christianity is the same spirit that drove the communist revolution and is driving.
And let me just say, man, the art in this motherfucking in this video is amazing, right? Like, yo, the art is what really starts fucking you up, right? Because like you're gonna see pictures in this fucking video. It's like I don't know where you got these pictures, but they are some of the coolest pictures, like real shit. Like I'm just like, man, this is like, yeah, bro, like legit, like fucking, that is a cool ass fucking picture. Let's keep going though.
In the woke movement. Would you believe me? Or would you say I've been reading too much of that German incel Friedrich Nietzsche? That's a fair enough accusation. But what interests me is Nietzsche's accusation against Christianity. Nietzsche says that Christianity was the woke movement for the Roman Empire. And Western civilization will not have a future unless we finally defeat this spirit by realizing what it actually is. Now, you're not going to believe me saying something like this, so what I'm going to do is show you what it would have been like to witness the takeover of Rome by Christianity from the perspective of a Roman pagan. So let's switch your imagination.
All right, before we get started, right? I want y'all to know something. First off, I am a Roman pagan, right? And by pagan, I mean I am of the mountain folks of the Calabria or of the Apennine Mountains from Calabria, Italy. Right, that's where my people are from. I now live in the Appalachians. Right, I'm a fucking Appalachian American. I'm also a Guinea. Right, I am what they call a pagan. Right, which is an individual who is of the country folk, who is not cosmopolitan. That's literally what pagan actually means. It means not fucking city folk. It means to fly over rural peoples, right? So understand something. This video is kind of personal to an individual like me because he is telling this story from my ancestors' perspective. It's highly important to understand, right? So, with no further ado, we're gonna get into his shit. Let's rock and roll.
Imagination on and bring you back thousands of years to the days of ancient Rome, where you are a conservative, traditionalist Roman pagan. You are of Roman stock, you are of Roman blood, and you are proud of it. You see, your ancestors fought in the legions beside Julius Caesar. You won for yourself much territory and wealth and land, and so the family has quite a nice couple of acreage farm in the outskirts of the Roman city. It's very, very fantastic. Now, you're nothing special. You're not like an aristocrat, or you're not like, a political guy or anything like this. You're just a humble farmer. And you live a simple life. You live a happy life. You wear your bed sheet as clothes. You walk around all day eating grapes. You're maybe not as happy as the modern Italians because you haven't invented pasta or pizza or espressos or gelatos. That stuff will come later. So you're maybe 90% of the way there. You're quite happy. And you live your simple life in your farming community. And you don't really bother with the city too much because it's full of soy boys. The prototype of the soy boys were there and waiting for you. Now, you'd go into the city sometimes. The thing that you absolutely love, you've always loved it since you were a kid, is going in to see the gladiator fights. This is like the UFC for you, And you're going to go in and you're going to watch these great heroes, these great slaves win their freedom. You're going to watch incredible things go on. It's an awful lot of fun to do this. Now, of course, as you've gotten older, you've learned that the empire is not in the best state it's ever been. And this is sort of like a bit of a ruckus. That this is bread and circuses that the emperor puts up to keep people distracted. Look, you understand that, but you still love it. You still see it as a lot of fun, so you go into these all the time, every time they show up. Now, over the years of your life, you've noticed that as you go in these gladiator events and you see the city of Rome, you notice that the city of Rome is changing dramatically, very, very quickly in front of your eyes. It's not the same Rome that you...
This guy is really good at what he does. Right, his ability to like tell a story, and that accent is fucking spectacular. I'm not 100% sure where he's from. I think he's fucking Italian of some sort, right? But like, I thoroughly enjoy his fucking storytelling. And I'll be honest with you, I've watched a few of his other videos, and I feel like he's missing a few pieces, right? Just in general, like just from a perspective of like he's missing the economic in particular, heavy. He's heavy missing a lot of the economics of this shit, right? Because and this is kind of the specialization problem when you come down to it, right? Is that when you're an economist, like you don't really notice the anthropological or the metaphysical. When you're a metaphysicist guy, right? You're a guy who studies like religions and what I mean, like cultures and like mentalities and mind states and shit, right? Watch these motherfuckers walking down my street, right? It's nice outside. I'm gonna take a walk. I'm done with this, right? Like all of these like people, what they're doing is they're watching or they don't end up like knowing about the rest of the specialities that come with things, right? Like everybody kind of over specializes. That's why when you like look at guys like I hate fucking George Friedman, right? Is because of the fact that like I can't stand like his mentality of going, oh well, the economy is the most important thing, what I mean? So like we should outsource fucking jobs and supercharge our economy, bring women into it. This is all important. But then you miss like the social aspect to it, of where you go like, bro, you're gonna have fucking whole towns that are fucking destroyed, and peoples and like fucking city and like communities and neighborhoods are just completely dilapidated and turned into fucking war zones. We don't have these conversations, right? And so these specializations kind of fuck us up. I'm a generalist, you know what I'm saying? Like I do the metaphysics a little bit. I do heavy in the economics, geopolitics, like sociology, anthropology. I get into all these aspects in my studies. So like I look at the whole picture, right? And again, I think he's missing a lot of aspects of things because when he blames, you know what I mean, like the ideas that he blames, he's missing a lot of the background of like, like the slavery was a bit of a problem. You know what I mean? Like fucking the immigrants were a bit of a problem. The low birth rate was a bit of a problem. The cosmopolitan nature was a bit of a problem. Like all of these things were an issue. Like once your cosmopolitan citizens start outnumbering the people who are in the rural communities, in any society collapses. Right? It's just how it works. Because of the fact that like people inside the cities, number one, they don't breed, and then number two, they keep demanding more human beings, which ends up stripping the motherfucking countryside. And their mentalities are much more socialistic. But like all of that socialistic ideology is based off of what's produced outside of the fucking cities. Right? So like it's a fucking like you have this ecosystem, and basically you just had the bigger predators just mollywopping everything down the road, and then the whole thing just kind of fucking gets destroyed. You know what I'm saying? Or actually, you know what it's like? It's like carp overeating the algae, right? And then the algae disappears, right? And then the whole thing just kind of like decays because you don't have like the balance of what you're supposed to have. And this is the problem that we have as a whole in our ideas of freedom, right? Because some motherfuckers have to be able to sweep, right? And the whole point of like our mentalities as human beings is that we should respect. Like I was thinking about this, like, oh, if you was a king, right, and you came upon a man sweeping the street, what would you do? Right? I mean, this is an important mentality to understand this, right? Like me as a king, right? Like I'm in a kingdom, and my kingdom is, I don't know, say, I don't know, like it's, you know, 1,000 square miles, whatever it is, right? 10,000 square, 10,000 square miles, doesn't matter, right? And I have a population of 1 million people, right, in my fucking kingdom. And I'm going down the street, right? I'm going to walk to go get whatever. And I have my guards with me and all this shit, right? And I come upon a street sweeper. A good king should hop off of whatever he's riding to fucking stop. Look at the street sweeper. Give me that broom and start sweeping for him. Send that fucking street sweeper to a couple beans for us. Conversate with him. Look at him. Let him know, like, hey, look, this is ours. Both of us. This is as much yours as it is mine. Because we're together in this. That's the fucking mentality that we're missing as a whole, as a peoples. That's what we're fucking missing. That's the part of this we forgot. No one's above me. It's like I'm not above anybody else. Those children in your community out there, they throw a ball, they break your window, right? That's not a problem. Because those children in your community are your community's children. They're the future of who you are. That's what you're missing. And yes, I understand it would make the whole place hostile to outsiders. It would. And that would mean growth would be slow. But I don't give a fuck. This is what you're missing. This is what liberal arts was supposed to teach you. This is the fucking point. You're not above the homeless guy. You're not. Let's keep going though, man.
You remember when you were a kid. It's definitely not the same Rome that you've heard about from your grandfather or in the storybooks. Something is going on in Rome. It is changing in a profound way. Year after year as you go into these games, you notice more and more new faces. You see blonde, brutish Gauls with their weird, stupid mustaches, probably already in history trying to sell you frogs' legs. There's Judeans in the corner holding their magic book. Benedus Shapirus being like, yeah, Jupiter's a tyrant, I'll believe Judeo-Christianity. The Carthaginians. I thought you crushed the Carthaginians. I thought you got rid of these Carthaginians. These Africans talking to you about Wakanda or something like that. Is that what they're doing? They're still around. I thought you salted their earth, but there's Carthaginians everywhere. There's Egyptians. There's...
I told you this art's fucking ridiculous. Art's cool as shit, man. Legit. I don't know where you got this art, but it is most definitely some cool ass art, bro. Like legit. It's fucking this orange and the purple fucking shit, man. Fuck it, it's cool looking as fuck.
Going down every time they see a cat in the street, they start bowing down, being like, "Oh wow, it's amazing." There's fucking brutish Germans. I'm surprised they even know what civilization is. They're probably like touching walls, being like, this is a weird looking tree. What's going on here? This is a strange tree." Or no, they're probably barking at it. They're probably shouting at it in their like, dog-like language or something like this. But the one thing you notice about all of these is that they're not Roman. These are the people that the Romans conquered. What the hell are they doing in Rome? And you talk to your friends about this, and everybody is aware that it's happening, and they sort of know why it has happened. Because when you expand and become so successful, you don't really want to do menial jobs anymore. You don't want to clean toilets. You don't want to sweep streets. You want other people to do this. And when you have an empire as large as the Romans, that means you have access to many, many slaves. And so what all the upper classes do, and even the upper middle classes do, is they start to harvest in all these people from the outskirts of the conquered areas of the empire. And they bring them into Rome to work as their labor caste beneath the Roman elite. But of course these people begin to outnumber the Romans. And of course they begin to change the nature of Rome itself. Now, the most dangerous part of all this is that these slaves do not respect the Roman gods.
All right. So again, like slavery is always a problem, right? In any society, like, you should not have slaves, right? And the reason isn't like all the shit we talk about always comes from this philosophical, moral perspective, right? Like this whole like morality. It's fucking dumb. Like, we need to stop having these fucking moral conversations, right? Because like morality doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, at least not negative morality, as far as shit concerned. Like, you don't do shit because of like negative fucking reasons. It's fucking stupid, right? Like, what you should do, right, as a whole, is you should look at it from the aspect of how it affects y'all. Right? Like, slavery, right, as a whole, number one, long term, there will be slave revolts, right? And number two, you will end up having people who were at one point enslaved becoming part of your fucking civilization. And all that shit that you did to them as slaves will come back to haunt you. Important to understand. Number two, economically, when you have slaves, what you're doing is you're depressing your lower classes, because you're literally saying your labor is so meaningless, right? That literally we're gonna do it for fucking free. That's a fucking problem, right? Because then you're just eliminating those people out of your society. And the individuals that do the tasks, right, that, like build shit and all these type of things, those are your soldiers. And slaves make shitty soldiers. If you're going to have fucking slavery, right, if you're going to have soldiers as a whole, you want them to be fighting for your country. Like Machiavelli said, listen, bro, like, when you form a new princedom, right, leave the arms in the hands of the people you just fucking conquered, right? Because, they're going to fight for their own land and their homes faster than they'll ever fight for you, but they're going to fight for it. That's the fucking point. You fight for your home. That's what you fight for. You don't go to war and fight just because, like, they're paying you. That's, those are garbage soldiers. The people who you want fighting for you are the individuals who, like, are actually there to, like, fucking bang, right? For themselves, for their families, for their wives, for their children, for the people around them, the people they love, the things they love, their culture, their heritage, all the things. It's shit that's intangible. Important mentalities to have. Let's keep going.
And they claim that they have their own God. They have their Christianity, which is so much superior and true than our Roman religion. And of course, this is delusional, first of all. It is pure superstition. It is made-up atheism. It is nonsense. They obviously got conquered by the power of Jupiter. They obviously got conquered by our superior vital energy given to us by our Lord. They obviously have the wrong God, or else they wouldn't have been conquered. But against all of reality, against all of life, they make up some story that allows them to be special. Because that's the type of neurosis that a slave would have to think. A slave is not special. A slave.
And I just remembered this dude's from Ireland. That's right. He's an Irish cat. Right. I fucking like as I was watching our video, he said he was Irish. I fucking completely forgot. I just want to put that in there. You know what I'm saying? Because I'd forgotten about that. Let's keep going.
Slave is inferior. A slave is a loser. And instead of being able to digest the fact that they lost, they have to invent some delusion in order to allow them to escape out of it. Oh, the Romans were possessed by a demon or something like this. All this crazy made up stuff. Now, we're used to slaves and immigrants and foreigners and women having delusions like this. Anything weird and strange is going to end up in Rome and people are going to follow it in the end. But this Christianity is particularly bad. This Christianity is perfectly suited to the tragic life of a slave. It doesn't require any power or standards or competence or discipline. It doesn't require any of that stuff. In fact, the more failed you are, the more it is for you. The more they try to lift your spirit and say that you are special. And it spends all of its time demoralizing us that are in command, us that are noble, us that are powerful, us that are normal. Everything that we represent, such as strength and might and competence, it says is evil, is not in favor with their God that they have made up. It is the perfect catalyst for a huge population of people with no identity who've been ripped out of their homelands and thrown into a melting pot to be exploited as slaves.
Okay, so I've always had a problem with Christianity in the mental that Christianity, it, how do I put this, man? Christianity, it doesn't have a place for men, right? Like when you're a big giant motherfucker, right? Or, you know what I mean? Like you're fucking capable of like just smashing shit, right? And that's what you're made to do, right? Like where does a soldier fit in fucking Christianity? Where does the warrior fit? Where's the drunken brawler fit? Where's the criminal fit? Where do all these people fit in Christianity, right? All these individuals who are like competent, strong, and fucking like male, like fucking ultra uber males, right? Just males. Where does that fit in Christianity? Right? That's a cool pause, by the way, bro. That pause is fucking good. I'll just look at that. That's like a cool looking joint. Right? But like, where do we fit? Where do us men fit in this Christian fucking ideology? It's important to think about, right? Because to be sheep. I'm a lion. I'm not a sheep, bitch. Right? Like I understand the mentality. Like, and this is the thing, right? Is that so as men, right? My hair's like fucking fucked up, and I need to get a fucking shower, bro. I didn't feel like getting one when I got up today. I just didn't. Right? But like so, and I got up like 2 hours ago. So I gotta go to work in like 2 hours. So like it is what it is. Anyway, right? Where do we fit in this world? Like where's our part of the Bible? Because it only preaches the women and the weak. The meek shall inherit the earth. Fuck the meek. I'm not meek. Right? The meek shall inherit the earth. Fuck the meek. Right? This is kind of my problem. Lamb of God. Get the fuck. I'm not a lamb. I'm not here to be sheared. Okay? I'll be the protector. This has always been a problem of mine with Christianity. I don't fit in the church. I curse, grab my balls, I drink, I fight, I live my life. I fuck bitches. I enjoy myself. Women love fucking me. Where do we fit in this church? That's always been a problem of mine, right? Because like, yo, you end up with a very docile population, I don't want to be docile. Christianity is a religion that is a weapon in the end of the day, right? It's there to like use against like your strong population to turn them into meek drones that'll produce goods for you. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that at all. Sounds like a shitty way of doing things. Be humble? Yeah. I'll be humble sometimes when the time calls for it. Important to understand. Let's keep going though, bro.
So the only criteria to be accepted into this Christianity is that you are not Roman. You do not possess Roman privilege. Any Roman virtue that you have, such as bravery, means that you're a menace, means that you are evil. But as long as you are failed, as long as you are weak, as long as you are a slave who cannot access Roman virtue, you are chosen, you are good, you are in the eyes of the Lord. And they constantly spend their time shaming us. They are not violent, they don't come out with their hands. It's not a very masculine way of conducting yourselves. Instead, they operate through feminine means. They try to establish guilt inside of our heads. They accuse us of the historical grievances of colonizing their lands in the past. They slander us for our Roman privilege and demand that we alleviate it and bow at the feet of their compassion. They walk in our streets and demand us to admit that Judean lives matter. They say that we and our authorities murdered Jesus, their God, their angel, the man without sin, so they say, got murdered in the street brutally by our legions. And of course, all these slaves claim that what needs to happen is that we need to give the Roman state to their Christianity and allow them to worship the real God, in which case they will install a utopia on earth. The kingdom of heaven will come down. This is what they say. God will just plop a new Rome on top of the old Rome, and it will be free from the suffering and the tyranny of Roman instincts and Roman virtues. It will free us from all the pain and suffering of the world. We will have this revolution that will transform the very nature of reality, and all pain and suffering will go away forever. How beautiful that these impoverished bums know how to run the state correctly. How surprising. But of course, just because it's stupid does not mean there's not enough stupid people to fuel its fire.
And let me say this, right? Over the past 400 years, 300, 400 years, right? You had the rise of Spain and Britain, or France. Spain came and went. France came and went. Britain stayed because America stayed. It was by luck and happenstance. It wasn't on purpose, right? It really wasn't. You know, the Spanish ideology, Mexico, South America, Portuguese in South America, um, they just got unlucky with the land that they had, right? United States, though, like Machiavelli said, I think in the discourses on leaving, he said, if you're going to pick a place to have a civilization, right? If you're going to pick one that's in the middle between rugged and too hard to live, and a place where food grows on the trees, right? Because you want people who are industrious, but you don't want them like struggling to survive. And then you don't want them to be so, I mean, shit have shit so easy that they can just live. They don't have to worry about shit, right? Because that middle ground is right where like you end up having the great civilizations come from. Greece, Rome, the Americans, the British, and the Asian, Chinese, right? The Chinese are in the same latitude as the United States is, but it's just South Hemisphere. That's why Russia has been like all over the place because it's too hard. And Africa's all fucking terrible because it's too easy. Food grows on the trees. Fucking there's animals everywhere, right? You kill fucking gazelle all the time, right? This is a mentality that a lot of people don't understand about, like the geopolitical shit, right? At the end of the day, and the mentality of Christianity, getting back to like the video as a whole, right? The mentality of like Christianity as an in general thing, right? Being virtuous for the weak again, you know what I mean? Yes, like there's a lot of weak, dumb people. And the guilt and the piousness, 100% it's been, right? He's not talking out of school about any of that shit. But anyway, let's keep going, bro. Let's keep going.
Oh, yes, of course, these Christians, they are woke. They believe that they are above the natural world and they want to bring us into this new ideal society, this utopia that they're talking about. But you see, when you begin to investigate, you start to look into their souls. You begin to see what they actually are. Because it's very easy to say beautiful ideas, to lie. But when you actually inspect people's intentions, you see what's really going on underneath the surface. And these people don't care about utopia.
God, that's what I was gonna go to after I got in the tirade. The British over the past 300 years, have tried to destroy all things Roman, right? Even to the point of where, like, in Italian, even, right? Like all the things that had to do with Rome, like Rome and Latin people. Um, the first man who settled Jamestown, right? His name was John Cabot, right? But his real name was Giovanni Caputo. Strange how that works, right? Why is America called America? Because the cartographer that drew the map, the original explorer who drew the map, right? Famous explorer, intelligent man. His name was Amerigo Vespucci. Again, right? And this is why all of these, um, England has tried, and the British and the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxons, right? They think, and they passed on this mentality that they were of the original Christian stock, right? Like, like they were like the fucking Hebrews or whatever, right? Like they weren't that Eastern. Like, but they were like people who were conquered by Rome. These long term things are important to understand when you look at how things slope, because when you back things up on a longer scale, like things make a little more sense as to why they are the way they are. And understanding like the nuances of shit puts you on a different level. Let's keep going though.
They don't care about heaven. They care about it insofar as it sounds beautiful, that it's persuasive to the dumb, unwashed, illiterate mob. But their actual motivations are much more ugly. They want power and vengeance. And we know this because we read their manuscripts. Tellurian, the resentful Carthaginian, who we conquered all those years ago, sits around and boasts about how Christianity is dominating Rome. He, of course, is an ardent Christian. Anything that's not Roman is sacrosanct in his mind. And he boasts how these Christians are going right for the jugular of what is necessary to take power. You see, the rural country folk, the rednecks, the flyover states of Rome, these aren't Christian, these follow the old gods. And especially the West, the noble West where it all began, the entire countryside, is still honourable and still follows Jupiter. But of course Tellurian boasts that this does not matter. You do not need the country folk. What you need is the cities, the bureaucracy, the institutions of the...
Sound familiar? Sound familiar? This is why, right? This is why shit's fucked. It's always this. Always has been, always will be. 2,000 years. And shit ain't changed. Let's keep going though.
The state. It's bureaucrats and middlemen who have changed over to Christianity. And they work their way into the infrastructure of the state, and they begin to hassle the population and bend people slowly towards this new Christianity against their will. And the healthy, normal people outside of the cities, they all believe the sensible, realistic, old gods of the ancient world. But instead, these cities, our own cities that we have built, begin to distort and twist away from our control, and then they begin to attack us. And this is where their name for us comes from, their slander word. Pagan, they call us. Of course, in our noble Latin language, all pagan means is rustic, is from the countryside, is rural. But to them, that's the most disgusting thing ever. Some
White trash, hillbilly, redneck. Sound familiar? All these people, hicks, sister fuckers. Shit has not changed in 2,000 fucking years. 2,000 fucking years. It's the same dumbass argument. And if you want to be honest, you go back to the Egyptians, right? And the Bronze Age collapsed. The same exact shit. Cities are the problem. Because even with agriculture as a whole, right? You know, like no matter what happened, like we settled someplace as a tribe, you know, in the forest or whatever. You try to find a place that would have like mushrooms and strawberries or fucking berries or fruit or onions or whatever it was that was growing there, right? You'd stay around that general area because that's always a food store. Bro, listen, you live near your food. No matter what happened, you live near your food. Once you move away from your food, you start building these giant ass fucking structures. And you start packing in like fucking rats. Stacking boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes. Right? Living like motherfucking, like fucking rats in a pet store. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, we have to have somebody to feed us. Who's going to take away our poop? Rats in a pet store. And then you go, oh, man, these fucking rednecks are the problem. They don't want to blah, blah, blah. We don't have any problem with each other. We all live together just fine. Literally, I've lived in 4 fucking towns with no police. None. No, we didn't have crime. Nobody hurts anybody out here. Everybody, it's all love. Constantly, it's all love. You know what the real problem is? Like real shit, real problem? When a woman gets uppity, starts a divorce, all of a sudden charges start flying. Oh, you know what I'm saying? He's abusive. Oh, he drinks. Oh, he does drugs. Oh, fucking she does drugs. Oh, he touches the kids. This is where all this comes from. Then the police come in. And then the woman's kids are free. The woman and the kids are free. Dude's carted off somewhere. Lives in an apartment somewhere in some city. He can't afford to survive out here no more. Lives in a camper down by the river. Kids running around wild, fucking shit up. No dad around. Why? Why is this a thing? Because some woman in the city thought that she needed her own rat cage. Reality. I know that, like, you want to say, like, Christianity is, like, you know what I mean, like, where it is. Like, I fucking feel you. I can't stand this shit, dude. All right? And it's not even an atheistic thing. You know what I mean? It's completely from the right side. It's not from the left at all. Like, this is not about, like, it not letting me do what I want to do. No. This is about the fact that it isn't natural as an in general thing, right? It's not, like, it doesn't make any fucking sense as a whole when it comes to life. And on top of that, it doesn't offer the traditions or the like way to live daily, all these type of things, right? Like all the daily things that like Muslims do. There's a reason that Islam is growing, right? It's because like it offers you like a rigid way to live. Like you got to pray 3 times a day, fast. I mean, there's all this stuff in there, right? Comes to Christianity, that's all gone. Because like, yo, man, listen, we need money, lots of money, more money, man. I need a bigger rat cage. I need a bigger TV in my rat cage. I need more goy slop in my rat cage. I need more money. That's all that matters to these fucking Christians. Harder for a rich man to get to the eye of the needle. Remember all these things. None of it makes, I don't fucking know. No. Fuck that. Count other men's pockets. It's disgusting. It's foul. It's a foul way to live. No. Love thy neighbor. Do any of you even know your neighbors? Who lives in a rat cage 2 floors down? You don't know. You don't know anything about anybody. Disgusting. Love thy neighbor. What's your neighbor eating? How's your neighbor's family doing? Do you know? No. Do you care? No. You don't give a shit about any of this stuff. This is why Christianity is a dog shit religion. It's trash. Oh, I'm a good Christian. Really? Are you? You go to church every Sunday. Put money in the altar plate. That's so nice of you. Garbage religion. It's a trash religion. This really is. There's nothing to it. There's no attachment to your land, to your body, your people. Do you belong to your land? No. No, man, listen. Christianity goes everywhere. Missionaries go on trips to spread it. Good religions don't need spreading. Does it on its own. Hmm. That's a problem. That's an issue. Let's keep going.
Something that they can't be, a true Roman. Someone from the land. No, instead they want you to be lost in the miasma of the city. A foreigner, an immigrant without an identity, and anything but a country person. Anything with connection to reality. No, you must be lost in the abstract world of the city where you can worship this god on a donkey. Yes, fantastic. Great for you. And then when you listen to how they talk about this stuff, you don't see these noble intentions. We know what's actually going on here. There's no noble intentions. Tellurian boasts about taking the athletes and the pagans and the country folk and the aristocrats and the generals, all of those native Romans, those people with heroic aspects, taking them into an arena during the day of judgment and torturing them to extract the suffering out of them that is justified. When the kingdom of God comes, they will be the ones sitting in the Colosseum watching us suffer. Of course, they claim that we have spent the last hundreds of years oppressing them, torturing them. Of course, we've been nothing but too tolerant with them. Yes, we've snapped back the odd time, but only in reaction to their constant pushing. Many of us think that we didn't go hard enough. But of course they made up all their lies that we were feeding them to lions on the regular. Absurd things like this. Of course, if we were feeding them into the lions, they wouldn't.
Yo, man, listen. Let me again. Like this blue and purple and orange art, fucking cool shit. I'm loving it, bro. Like, yo, if you catch this video, much respect. You know, what I mean, I just wanted to bring this to myself. You know, what I mean, like, because I thought it was fucking cool as shit. And have a conversation about it because I took a 22-minute video, and so far I've turned it into 42 minutes. We're only 14 minutes to fucking 15 minutes. Let's keep going, though.
Be here, would they? Yes, this new religion, it's so very sophisticated. All you discover inside of it when you dig down to its roots is resentment against the Romans for the crime of winning. But again, I must stress, it does not present itself on the surface like this. No, the thing it talks about all the time is, oh, poor Jesus of Nazareth, the pain he must have went through. The empathy and love that Christianity represents. It's a religion of love, of course. Of course. It's not about all this festering resentment, how they talk about harming us when they gain power. And the perfect symbol of this delusion, of this sleight of hand, of this lie, is how our women fall for it. Our upper class Karens. They love this stuff. Because, you know, Romanness is so toxic and masculine. It doesn't suit feminine sensibilities. Jupiter, Mars, these big muscular supermen. Ugh. Upper class women so closeted from the world. They can't deal with stuff like this. Sterile women with no children and 10 pets. Oh, they just want something to love. And of course this Jesus of Nazareth, it's the perfect son that they never had. They can adopt him into his heart. Oh, this joyful boy who was unjustly oppressed by the toxically gruggish.
You didn't do. You legit fucking didn't do, bro. Like, yo, the fucking didn't do's. Yo, hilarious. Oh my god, fucking funny as shit.
Romans and their rural Roman gods. Oh, it's so ugly. Whereas this Christianity of pure love, pure escapism from the world, suitable to the woman's emotions. Of course, they all got on board with it quite a lot. And these were some of the worst people because they bent the senators that they were married to. They were the ones who nagged their weak husbands into turning over. Weak husbands walking around with man boobs sticking out of their togas. Of course, they don't command power over their wives, and so they get cuckolded by them in the end. And we could have forgiven our women because they're women, but the biggest culprits, the greatest guilt should be placed upon our aristocrats and our elites. Because they had all the power to stop this. They could have stepped in at any point and put the foot down and been firm, but they never were. In fact, an awful lot of them got bewitched.
Let me say this, right? At some point in our civilization, in our fucking species, like thing, we need to actually chin check women and just let them know more, bro. Like, yo, no, okay, yo, we need to explain to them the society is made to protect you, okay? You and your offspring. It's what the society's here for. It's what our entire civilization is about. The entire basic premise of why it is that we do any of the things that we do is to protect you. Like real shit. And you need to understand that you don't get a fucking say in how the fuck that happens. Period. You shut the fuck up, all right? And you handle what the fuck you need to handle. Because you're not doing it. Until like you have your shit down pat, you're good. Until you don't need no fucking help raising your fucking kids, little miss magic pill, little miss I need my motherfucking Netflix, little miss I need all these goddamn things. Right? Until you got your shit on point, you shut the fuck up. Like, yo, at what point do you chin check your fucking women folk? This is the fucking issue. Right? Is that like, yo, all these simps, the simps. We need to start a civilization that's anti-simp. Right? It goes like, bro, you don't get this broad nothing, okay? Give her nothing. She's gonna try and get everything. I'm not saying treat females badly, right? Because like, I got daughters. They're my princesses. Love them. They're the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. All right? Change me as a dude. Right? Like fucking legit. Like I get all like fucking choked up and like weird fucking dumb commercials. Like, you know what I mean? All sentimental and shit. Fucking retarded. Right? But again, you don't stand here and just give females whatever they want. Your children, babies, are babies. They're babies. Take care of your babies. As best as you can take care of your babies. Now you motherfucking, you make them fucking work. You make them fucking earn shit. Somewhat. But as a dude, right? You fucking stand here and you tell her no. It's that easy. You tell them no. You don't get to just do whatever the fuck you want, whatever the fuck you want to do it. You don't get to just stand here and destroy the society. And you explain to them that they're destroying the society publicly. The president needs to hop on the motherfucking mic and go, women, you are fucking destroying our country. And all you simps need to shut the fuck up. And don't protect them. Let them take their fucking medicine for once in their fucking existence. God damn it.
By this delusion. Because at some point, with all the success and power the Roman Empire had given them, all the efforts of our ancestors had put in their hands the ability for them to lie down and have a feather waved over them and slaves feeding them grapes, they developed this neurosis towards Rome. They don't like Rome anymore. Rome is too native. Rome is too much at home. It reminds them of themselves too much. So they want everything foreign. They get obsessed with everything Greek. Oh, I wish to go over to Greek and learn about the sophistication of Greek culture and philosophy. And this new Christian religion, of course, just swept through Greece like a festering disease because of their stupid boy-loving that makes them delusional and not in touch with reality. So all our elites started to flirt with this until it got too far. And some even tried to stop it. We had the Murga movement, Make Rome Great Again, with Julian the Great. And of course, he died in suspicious circumstances before he could fulfill his destiny. And that was the end of that project. After that, Christianity swept over and Rome was pulled into its era of darkness. Ah yes, they whined their way into power. These slaves, these bureaucrats. They first just asked for representation, to be acknowledged that they have their rights as a free citizen of Rome. to follow whatever god they wished. Then they demanded more tolerance and acceptance that their religion was official. This is, of course, what Constantine granted them. And then eventually, they started to demand that their god was the only god, for the sake of the piety and security of the state, because you see Rome started to fall apart at this point. These Christians, of course, show up at the end and they say the reason why Rome is falling apart is not because of them. It's not because of all these slaves coming in and distorting our identity and moving us away from Jupiter. No, it couldn't be that. It's because we're not following this new god. In order for us to save Rome, we need to, not go back to the thing that worked in the past. No, we need to go towards this new thing and this new utopia. And basically, if we just allow them to take control of the state and give them permission to reorganize society, then everything will work out. All the justice in the world will be restored and Rome will rise once again to the heights that it once saw. Yeah, of course, this is what they said. And then they eventually got their wish. They took power. And the first things was not some type of utopia. They did not come in and grant us joy and tolerance and peace. Instead, they began shutting down our temples. They began banishing us to the countryside. They scoured us out of the city. They began to ban our gods, refuse state funding towards our operations and our institutions. They began to bully us out of our own empire. Then we began to understand. Then their retribution began to show. Their mask came off. And this is where you began to see the true vengeance underneath this. They began to attack all our high art. Our books were burned. Our statues were scarred and pulled down. They began to celebrate that they now owned the Roman Empire. They began reorganizing things, outlawing everything at every step, burning down libraries in riots. And then eventually, they decided to ban our religion altogether. The religion that built Rome. In a frenzy of retribution and revolution, they decided that they needed to push aside all of the past and begin on this new project. Only when they cast out Jupiter and our institutions would finally the Utopia come. And it was in 391 AD of their stupid made-up calendar that they finalized their revolution of lies. That was the day that they completely banned all traces of the past and made Rome a Christian empire. And it was only 19 years later that Rome was invaded for the first time in almost 1,000 years. No utopia came. No salvation arrived. None of these things happened. None of their promises came true, of course. Instead, we suffered brutal oppression, and we sank into a dark age. Our knowledge was banished. We forgot how to run the aqueducts. We forgot all of the higher operations that we had. Our army could not function anymore. The state was strangling itself. And then a load of Germans from the north came charging in and walked all over us. Germans who were afraid of us and hiding in their mud huts only 200 years before due to our might and our power were now crusading around Rome and acting as our kings. It was an implosion of the highest magnitude, the exposure of such unbelievable dishonesty and lies, a revolution of the slaves that took down the entire project. Of course, it was only after this collapse could we say for sure, with evidence, with proof, of how much of a delusion, of a lie, of a spiteful revolution of the weak against the strong this truly was. But at that point, there was nothing to save. It did not matter. Rome was done.
If you made it this far, I appreciate you. I'll be honest with you. He's not wrong, right? But again, this is not, Rome wasn't the first time that had happened. Happened in Babylon, happened in Samaria, Uzik, happened in Cairo, happened in Lydia, Istanbul, Constantinople. This has happened many times. Beijing, cities, schools, education, weakness. There's nothing you can do with all your modern day weapons. No, you don't have the numbers anymore. This is the problem. Stop fucking living in cities. The cities are actually like the real issue. This is where like I mean his shit kind of fell apart for me for a minute because like my brain was going cities, right? Because I didn't immediately go like Christianity. Yeah, I mean like I feel you. Christianity was the one that took it down that time. Right before that, you know who it was? The Bronze Age people or the fucking sea people. It's always gonna be something to take you down. Cities, bro. It's cities. That's really what that is. In the end of the day, it's nothing more, nothing less, just fucking cities. But yo, look, the timepiece of Pnoid News. Y'all know the deal, man. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna get the fuck up out of here. All right. Enjoy your day. Peace.